Hey everyone, thanks for joining us for another episode of Coffee Break with writers who know stuff. I'm Deborah Sanders, and I'd like to introduce my co-hosts, Charlotte Morganti and Nicolette Lemon. Each month, we share marketing tips to help you maximize your time to become the best writer that you can be. I can't believe, ladies, that it has been a month since our last podcast. Where does the time go? We had two groups of house guests, and I taught a class at our local rec center on making gourd birdhouses. But I've been working like crazy on promotional graphics and videos. I did manage and needed to pick up a couple of bottles of wine because, there's just time that you need a glass of wine. So I wanted to show this to you. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Ooh, beautiful butterfly.
Yes.
Isn't that pretty?
That is.
Okay.
I like that.
So I had bought this romance book. I was really excited about reading it. And I thought, I need a bottle of wine to go with that and some chocolate. So I bought this bottle of True Myth, and I am going to confess that I bought it for the label because it looked like something for romance. That got me to thinking, how many times do you buy a book based on the cover and then you read it and it's like, oh, this isn't really what I thought it was going to be. Has that ever happened to you guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then you have at least the wine to drink. I mean, that's a good idea.
Good wine. It was a good wine.
Yeah, I find, luckily, well, no, I don't know luckily, but you can buy, bargain books right through Kindle promotions or whatever. And so sometimes it's very easy to click on a 99-cent book. And perhaps I'm not, and I base it mostly on the cover and the tiny little blurb. And then when I start reading the book, I think this is nothing like the blurb, the stories. And then so I've got a lot of books on my Kindle that are 10% read and will never be finished. So.
And that is true because it's about the perception as
Right.
far as when you saw that and you read the blurb, you had an idea of what it was going to give you as an entertainment or as a fun story that takes you away. And when you get disappointed, that's a real problem for your marketing because you won't go back to that author. You may not go back at all to that series or whatever. So to me, making sure in your marketing that it matches whatever the back of the book is, your little back of the book cover that you say, here's what you're going to get from this story and you're going to be entertained with. So that's a really good point.
That brings me to my marketing tip for today, which is reader perception. They decide whether or not to buy your book within 8 seconds of looking at the cover. Well, that's faster than most of us decide what we want for lunch. So, those few seconds can determine whether your book gets read or it gets passed over, regardless of the quality of your writing. At that point, nobody is even reading our book. They're basing it upon a visual. They're not comparing your romance novel to War and Peace. They're looking for something that's like the last 10 romance books that they read, and they're looking for similar content when they go to the bookstore or when an online retailer. And if we don't market according to genre or subgenre, and we don't match that reader perception of what they're looking for, they're never going to read us again. And they may even leave us a bad review. We definitely don't want that. We all know who Mark Dawson is, obviously, with self-publishing formula and ads for authors. And sometimes we forget that he's also an author. Well, he was writing thrillers and he just wasn't getting the sales that he wanted. So he went in and completely redid his covers for this thriller type series. And he immediately increased his sales by 25%. And then there's Christina Lauren, I believe it is, that wrote The Unhoneymooners. She had bright colors and playful typography. So her branding on that book cover matched the subgenre, positioning her to find the target market that she needed. There are some tools out there, like BookBub has a cover analysis. Amazon has a heat map, and those studies show where the reader's eyes go first. So that's my tip for today. What about you guys?
Well, I guess I'm focusing more on the perception that you want your readers to have about you as the author. And so along the same lines, consistency, I would say. And so something that you can implement fairly quickly is this is a do what I say, not what I do tip. I tend, when I need to come up with an author headshot or a bio or, a template for one of my promotions, I find that I'm, hunting all over my computer, trying to find out where I filed my last headshot. And so my tip is spend an hour and get yourself organized and collect your author headshots. Make sure that they're projecting the image that you want people to have of you. And, are you a very serious teacher-like writer, or are you more fun and breezy? All of that is conveyed through your author headshot. And also come up with a few bios, like a short, a long, and a medium one, so that you can quickly grab that bio and fire it out. And also I have developed templates for my social media posts so that they all have the same look and feel. Well, most of them. And I keep them handy, and because my time is valuable and I'd rather be polishing that manuscript than hunting for my latest author headshot. That's it from me today.
All right, I'll jump in then. I love both of those.
Yeah.
Mine was much more on the thought process of the strategy that what are you going to use it for? How are you going to change their perception? What are you going to do to make sure they understand the entertainment piece that they're going to get? Which is a lot what you said, Deb, but also even laughing about the headshots, but even knowing that they want to know also about the author.
Mm-hmm.
But what are the stories you're telling is the most important aspect of how you shape that target reader's perception of what they're going to get from your series or just your initial book. And I think that's so important, is to be able to tell the story that meets their idea of what they want for entertainment. So you do have to research and find out. And even if it's as simple as going back to people that have read your book, maybe you're just having them read it to get ideas. Maybe it's the editing piece, so asking even them what was the value of the entertainment piece as well. And then putting that into your marketing strategy means, like both of you said, you have to have it out there ready to go. It's not something that you have to craft this story and put it on your website and then I'm talking about, you have the story and you have the lines, but you need to make sure they're scheduled as part of your strategy to reach out to get more target readers, to enjoy it, to, experience your book or your series. So that was for me more about the perception. When you were talking about both of you, I was thinking they do want to know about the author and they do want to know what they're going to get out of your book. And those need to have the stories. And like you were mentioning also, Charlotte, about having them ready to go. There is a really good exercise for today, is to make sure that you write your short, medium, and long descriptions, which is kind of like the back cover descriptions. Your hook, your 8-second hook, to even, like you mentioned, Deb, 8 seconds. I mean, I've got that goldfish attention span. So if I only have 8 seconds to grab them, I have to make sure and hit that perception of what they feel they'll get from the book. And then when they get it and they read it and they love it, they'll go on to the next one and be one of your avid readers, right? So that's how I think of it. Strategy, get ready, get all set up. And just like both of you said, have it ready to go, but making sure it's from their perspective, not yours.
Right. And I think as authors, sometimes we have that tendency to, this is our baby. I wrote this, oh, look at this. But is that what the readers want? I mean,
yeah, and then write the description of just what you said. This is my baby, and isn't she pretty? And the people are like, but what's in it for me?
Yeah. Yeah. But you know, Nikki, I know in the past, and you were such a marketing guru that I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you say it was like 7 or 10 times that somebody has to see something to really
7
grasp
times.
into it?
Magic, yes, magic of 7. So you
Magic
wanted
is
to make
seven.
sure.
We cannot just post, oh, we have a new book release. We have to continue to schedule those releases because it may take 7 times to grab somebody's attention. I know I keep seeing this book. It must be really good. So this is not like a one-shot thing. I mean, you have to really aggressively put it out there. And it doesn't have to be a time suck. You create just make some variances like in your social media posts, have some templates, put in, rearrange things a little bit, stick them out there and schedule them. And then it's not a time suck at all. There's just so much that you can do. And a new book release is very time consuming because you're trying to be everywhere at once. So if you can share some of those, or if you can pre-schedule some of those things. And Charlotte is been scheduling a lot of stuff, and it's like, well, how does she do that? She's always on this. And then I think you told me the other day, it's like, oh, I schedule my stuff, and I went, well, duh. So
yeah, except of course, as soon as I said that, I stopped scheduling because I had, something else came up. So now I have to get myself back on that.
Well, it's not like you have to do it all the time. It's an option, right? And so, but that is so true when you talk about having them ready to go and the magic of 7. To me, that idea of having even just little tweaks, like you said, just repurposing graphics is awesome. It's the best thing to do to keep that going, especially because, Instagram, they're gone. Facebook, they're gone. They go quickly. The only ones that don't are usually, Pinterest and YouTube. And, yes, you can go back and watch those. That's great. But the ones that go all the time, people aren't even going to remember. Like you said, oh, this is the 7th time I've seen this. They're not going to remember that. They're just going to be like, oh, yeah, I was going to check out that book.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do we have time for a little story that relates to this?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, so I was at a conference last year, and the keynote speaker was a fellow called Drew Davis, I think, who was very, very entertaining. He presented something on the curiosity factor, and his whole talk was about how to keep people engaged, right? And so this goes back to the goldfish, because he told the story of the goldfish, and he said, he was out for dinner in this restaurant where they had a big fish tank, and they were standing waiting for the table beside the fish tank where there was a goldfish. And so he noticed the goldfish scooping up like a pebble and then spitting it out. And so he started filming the goldfish with the idea that 10 seconds, this goldfish is going to, 11 minutes.
It just,
and he said that goldfish kept him engaged for 11 minutes because he kept watching to see what this goldfish was going to do. And the goldfish kept picking up the things. And so he said, so when you market or when you write, you need to keep that, expand that. He said, you have 8 seconds for your reader to grab them, but you need to put something in there that invokes their curiosity. And so they'll spend the next 11 seconds with you, and on and on. And now I find when I'm looking at a manuscript, I'm not looking every 11 seconds, but I am more conscious of the dragging people along with the curiosity factor.
What a great example. I mean, a great story. And that's really a valuable tip, because we all know, you have to move the story. And it's great to describe your setting, but if you have like 3 pages of it, I'm turning
some of the literary tomes are like that. They go on, and there are readers that love that. They're a reader, and that's fine. But there's that perception issue again.
Right.
That we need to meet that perception, saying you have an action-packed book,
right,
or you have the literary book that's going to be more descriptive and more of the environment that they're in and all. So It is about that perception that we get
Right.
in the mind of the target reader that says, I'm
Right.
going to enjoy it because it's what I like.
You're right.
And
Yeah.
that we need to understand is they're like you didn't want to go through. I can't stand, if I see a paragraph that goes a whole page and a half or something, I'm like, okay, I'm out. But
Yeah.
I do understand that if I want that kind of a book, if that's what I love to do because it's giving me all the details, then I
Mhm.
want to know that from your marketing. I want to know that's what I can expect. There's the
Yeah.
perception that I am meeting as the author marketing my book to someone who will really enjoy it. And
Yeah.
that's the key.
We know that this works. And I'm going to give you an example. Look at Harlequin Romance. They put out, what is it, 8 titles a month. These
Really?
are, I think it is.
I can imagine.
So they have obviously different imprints a month. These are formula books. These are written on a certain trope, a certain expectation of what readers want. And they're still selling books by the boatloads. So
Yes.
I mean, it works if you're reading mysteries, if you like Jack Reacher, if you like Tom Clancy's books, those are the books that you're looking for. If you like Agatha Christie traditional mysteries, that's your what you want. And so you're going to look for covers that are similar to those. And they recently, I know Agatha's not around anymore, but they recently rebranded her books and her covers. I did not like
Well,
what they did.
they're all coming into the public domain now because they're so
Ah,
old. Isn't that crazy? They're
yeah,
so old. And we still love Agatha Christie
we
today.
do. We
But they're
do.
so old that you can get them for free now
Yeah.
too. But they are rebranding because people still love them and will buy them, but also they're out there for free as well. But yeah, can you imagine that she's been gone a long time as
Yeah.
well? But yes, I mean they're
Yep.
coming up on 100 years old. Like her first ones were like 1929 or something. I'm
Yeah.
thinking,
Interesting too, if I'm sure you've noticed, like there will be, like for Michael Connolly or even Louise Penny, there will be a North American cover, and then the cover for Europe is an entirely different image on the
that's
front.
interesting.
And
No, I didn't know that.
yeah, and they'll so especially Michael Connell, I think it's Michael Connell, anyway, he'll say, here's the North American cover coming, May, whatever, and then
Oh.
here's the European cover. And so I am guessing that the expectations as far as the cover of that type of novel differ from continent to continent. Like the European reader must veer towards a different look on the cover than North Americans do.
Magazines have been doing that for a long time. Like Vogue magazine will have a different cover in European countries than they do in America. They'll have different features, different feature stories and stuff. Yeah, because we are vastly different markets. So, yep. But
Wow.
I mean, these are all such great points. I think this is a gold mine for our viewers today. I mean, we've really covered some great stuff because
I
we
love
know
it.
stuff.
Yeah, we
Yes.
do.
Yes. And so thanks for having a coffee break.
Yeah, hey, it was great. I'm going to have a wine break soon, but
I've got water. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe maybe we better switch to wine breaks. That of course then we could probably get a little too fun in all of it, but that was
yes,
a fun one, yes.
yes.
I have to say.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for today. We have really enjoyed sharing our discussions and our tips with you guys. And we have a coffee break podcast at the first of every month. So make sure you subscribe and hit your notification bell so you know when those are ready. And then every week, other than the coffee break weeks, one of us will post a marketing tip just to keep you guys in the loop and share with you what works, what doesn't, and how you can do it better. So please like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next month for coffee break, and we'll see you next week for a marketing minute.
Bye.